Hello, good morning. Welcome to Joy News Desk. We're coming to you live from our studios in Kokomlemleri on DTT because we're free. So we're coming up this morning. President Akufo-Addo directs the termination of part of GRA's controversial contracts with SML and retain part of it after KPMG submitted its audit report. We have details for you this morning. Also this morning, Education Minister fights off claims there are serious challenges with the free SHS.
I look forward to a day when parents will line up in front of our public schools and beg to enroll their children. That is the day. And it will soon come. And it has begun under Nana Abudankwa Akufo-Addo.
There is more as he hints basic education will soon become attractive to parents, urging them to focus on the positives and not the negatives.
I hear all the time people talking about the free senior high school, and they don't tell the story of the children who were here. You have to look at something negative and focus on that. They are not focusing on the story of the children. This is a program that has touched many lives.
And in our Doomsday Diary today, we take you to Kumasi, where recent power outages have plunged many businesses into an economic downturn as they begin to incur huge losses.
Spend 2 hours on a car without light and spend 30 minutes on a car, depending on fuel to power their machines. Yeah, but right now we don't have that one over here. That's why it's giving me that pressure to finish up early. So if I don't finish up early, it's going to take his car away and I'm going to lose.
My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Please do stay for details. Many thanks for choosing us. President Akufo-Addo has directed the Ghana Revenue Authority to terminate part of its deal with Strategic Mobilization Limited and retain part of it. This decision follows an audit conducted by KPMG on the instruction of the President after an investigative piece by the Fourth Estate, which claimed the deal was siphoning billions of cedis from states' coffers for no real work done. Kwekwa Santi has joined me in the studio with a copy of a press release from the presidency on this developing story. First, Kweku, take us through the recommendation on this matter by KPMG's audit.
Well, Aisha, you know that just a few months back, Manasseh Azuri-Awini and the Fourth Estate put out this investigative journalism detailing what they call the 3 billion cedi lie. And this contract that had been given SML by the GR and the Finance Ministry, and they had claimed that the government of Ghana, through SML, was losing loads and loads of money. That case has been going on. The President directed SML and GRA to put on hold this contract. In fact, the Finance Committee of Parliament is also still, as it is now, constituting an investigation into this matter. But the President directed KPMG, an audit firm, to go into this matter and make specific recommendations. If you look at the findings, they are quite damning. They say that no technical assessment was done prior to the engagement of SML. However, the presidency coming to say that such an assessment was not legally required for engaging SML. After SML was engaged, a Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors industry report and Ernst & Young audit report commissioned by the GRA actually found that there might be under-reporting and under declaration of potential revenue leakages, and that is why this contract was necessary. And that on 3 occasions between June 2017 and September 2017, GRA saw the approval of the Public Procurement Authority to use single source procurement to engage SML. PPA did not grant approval. Subsequently, GRA engaged SML as a subcontractor to the West Blue, which was already providing services to GRA at the port. SML eventually took over the services provided by West Blue when the latter's contract came to an end. So that is also some point to know there that PPA agreement where the GRA was seeking a sole source was not approved. Again, regarding the transaction audit services, KPMG concluded that SML only partially delivered on the service requirements. However, given the observations made during the investigations, GRA may not have obtained all the benefits from the service. Regarding the external price verification, KPMG, I should say, concluded again that SML also partially delivered on the service requirements. And then regarding the downstream petroleum audit service, which was the subject of this controversy, KPMG determined that there was an incremental volume of 1.7 billion litres and an incremental tax revenue of 2.45 billion cedis for the period under review. And there was also qualitative benefits, including 247 electronic real-time monitoring. So if you put in sum what KPMG found, they found out that, of course, the GRA wanted to sole source this contract. The PPA declined that request, and then the GRA found an alternative way to do this by putting the contract under West Blue at the port. Where West Blue's contract expired, they put them on the main contract. Again, by virtue of some of the contract that they had signed, the SML did not deliver fully on those arrangements. They delivered only partially, and they've made these findings and they've submitted them to the president.
Well, I mean, did the president accept all the recommendations, and what is his directive?
Well, the president has been accepting quite a
number of the
major recommendations made. He says that the petroleum audit and minerals audit services have not yet been commented, but they have been signed and no payments have been made. Therefore, they may be terminated. However, given that the upstream petroleum audit and minerals audit services could prevent significant revenue leakages, the president has directed the ministry and GRA to conduct a comprehensive technical assessment, value for money assessment, and stakeholder engagement before implementing said service. The transaction audit and external price verification may also be terminated. But the big one that the fourth estate claims the state is losing close to 3 billion Ghana cedis on an average, the president is giving the GRA and finance ministry the go-ahead to actually implement same. The presidency says there is a clear need for the downstream petroleum audit service provided by SML. GRA and the states have benefited from these services since SML commenced providing them. There has been an increase in volumes of 1.7 billion litres and an increase in tax revenue to the state. Because of this minimizes the occurrence of under-declarations. However, it is important to review the contract for downstream petroleum audit services, particularly the fee structure, given the experience and proficiency of SML over the last few years in providing this. The president has directed that the fee structure be renegotiated. So the president says they can go ahead with that contract. And that is the main focus of Manasseh Azuri-Awini and the Fourth Estate investigation, which they say was a rip-off to the state. But the president is giving GRA and the finance ministry the claim of health, they go ahead and implement this, but says they must review the fee structure so that the state will probably have to pay a little less than what they're paying to GRA currently.
Right, Kwekwa Sante with the details of that recommendation by KMG's audits and the directive from the presidency. There is more of this in our subsequent bulletins. This is just coming. Definitely, there are questions why the president will give the GRA the go-ahead to actually deal with a contract that is actually ripping off the country of that huge sum of money. There's more we'll be bringing to you on Joy News. But in our Doomsday Diaries today, we'll take you to Kumasi, where the recent power outages have plunged many businesses into an economic downturn as they begin to incur huge losses. Some small businesses like car washing bays are now returning to their days of fetching heavy buckets of water to wash dirt off vehicles. The situation is not only biting hard on the car washers, but their clients who have had to expend productive hours hoping to get served. Emmanuel Bright-Kweko reports for today's episode of Doomsday Diaries.
On any ordinary day, gushing water out of this water gun is the loudest sound you would hear at this washing bay. But it hasn't been the case in the past few months, following the unannounced power outages experienced across the country. fetching of water from a nearby well has become the daily routine for the workers, presenting a daunting task. Samuel Sapon has been a car wash attendant for 6 years. It ordinarily would take him 20 minutes to complete a full car wash with a water gun, but he's now spending close to 2 hours to hand wash.
To spend 2 hours on a car without light and spend 30 minutes on a car with light, you have to see what I'm trying to go. The money is all going, but at the end of the day, I'm going to say we don't have money in the system.
He is pressured to complete the car wash as quickly as possible as his client, Fuzi Hussein, awaits to drive it off to the office.
There are some people who are using plant. They are dependent on fuel to power their machines. Yeah, but right now we don't have that one over here. That's why it's giving me that pressure to finish up early. So if I don't finish up early, he's going to take his car away and I'm going to lose.
Fuzi had hoped to get his vehicle washed within a few minutes to continue with the day's activities, but he's wasting most of his productive time at the washing bay.
I have a lot of meetings to attend to, but I'm still sitting here. If I had known, I would have decided to wash it in the house. I wouldn't have even moved out in the first place. But what else? What can I do? So I thought here would have been the quickest side for me to get my car and then attend to my meeting, but then see what's happening.
How many times do you wash your car?
In a day, maybe 2 times, or maybe 3, depending on where you move to.
Meaning you're going to spend like 4 hours just washing it?
Just for washing, you can imagine.
The prolonged car wash is plunging the business into an economic quagmire. Profit margins have been on a spiral trend lately. Akwesi Sapon has been operating the washing bay for close to a decade now.
Office ni 20 cedis maybe are the older normal boys na boy no Roma and it depends on the
We charge 20 cedis per car wash. It depends on the car you are washing. Profits have been low now. We now get about 300 Ghana cedis a day as compared to the previous 800 Ghana cedis.
A day met me 350 but now lights need
Close to 10 attendants work here every day, but the recent power cuts have rendered a number of them redundant. This has been a job that puts food on the tables of these young men and their families and supported them in establishing other businesses.
I only get 3 to 5 cars daily. This is what I use to cater for my family.
While the government refutes calling it doomsday, affected Ghanaians are hoping for an immediate solution to the power crisis wreaking financial havoc.
This thing started way back, and if it is happening today, we should understand that it is something you can't take it off. Imagine I have spent over 2 hours here because there's no light, because machines are being blown, and they should stop politicizing electricity to their politics and so-called politics that they are doing.
Until the power challenges are resolved, these attendants must endure the pain of moving to and fro for water under the sweltering weather to fend for themselves and family. For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright Quick.
Only last week, President Akufo-Addo broke his silence on the situation when he commissioned the Kumasi 1 thermal plant, but did not announce any concrete steps to fix the problem.
Our national electrification rate of 88.8% is one of the highest on the continent, and the goal is to have full electricity access by the end of this year. In the areas of power generation, transmission and distribution, my government has made and continues to make significant investments towards the provision of reliable and competitively priced electricity to assure economic growth. This is part of our commitment to realizing the 2030 United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. I do acknowledge Regional Minister, Minister for Energy, ladies and gentlemen, and Nananom, the challenges that the people of Ashanti and indeed of other parts of the country have had to endure in very recent times over the supply of power. And I can only thank you for the patience you have exhibited in the face of these challenges. Ladies and gentlemen, I must perforce thank Otumfuo Asantehene, who graciously intervened with the authorities of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology to release a portion of their land for the construction of this power station and gas pipeline infrastructure. And I thank the Vice Chancellor of the university for this important contribution.
Well, civil society organizations and other analysts are now turning the heat on the president and his appointees for immediate action. Former UN Senior Governance Advisor, Professor Bafo Ajimendria, believes the president has not taken charge of the crisis. He wants the president to address the nation consistently like he did during COVID-19.
An aspect of good governance, certainly, is the responsiveness of government when citizens express concern about critical issues as we are facing. But so far, I think we are lacking leadership on this crisis. We know the feud between GRIPCO, ECG, PURC, and others, and this is the time we have expected the president to take charge, just as he did successfully during the COVID era, when he was able to brief us periodically on the situation. This current crisis is almost nationwide, and there's a huge public concern expressed through many media, especially on social media. People are very frustrated, and I think it's an occasion for the president to be seen as being in charge. And I wish the president can assemble those players in the energy sector and give them marching orders and assure the nation that serious efforts are underway to rectify the situation. So far, I think we haven't seen much transparency on this matter. We haven't seen a real concern expressed by government, the president on this matter, and therefore the whole nation seems to be just bemoaning and lamenting the crisis without any serious response from government.
Meanwhile, Minister for Public Enterprises Joseph Kojo has announced that recent developments at the ECG will be investigated. ECG has been in a standoff with the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission over a 5.8 million cedi fine imposed by PURC over the recent outages. Although lawyers for ECG are fighting the directives, Public Enterprises Minister Joseph Kojo says the matter will be investigated.
So, for the first time, we have documented this in state ownership policy, which will give direction.
And then there's the second one, which talks about good corporate governance.
Yes, and then you see this one is the first one, which is the state ownership policy, manages the state entities in one portfolio, and SIGA puts responsibly for that. The second, which is Code of Corporate Governance, for the specified entities and public services organizations, are more or less human resource management documents, conduct of the persons who are in charge of affairs. What will it be? Issues of conflict of interest, issues of generally ethical behavior, and so on, which is very critical in managing businesses and, for that matter, corporates. We've not also had them extended to state-owned enterprises, which are profitable by intention, which should operate and make profit. We haven't had that. We have, in the past, had code of conduct in the public services. These are not necessarily profitable organizations, but now we have enhanced them and put the public services organizations and SOEs and other regulatory agencies together and giving them one code. The President recognizes the importance of the SOE sector to national development. And for that reason, all the necessary structures and governance mechanisms that are needed to ensure that we achieve leveraging the SOEs to contribute to national development have been done, especially with the launching of these two critical documents. And so we should all get involved. I am happy today. We are in a position to assess performance of governments by their performance on how they manage the SOE sector, because this is about a third of Ghana's economy. So with the pathway charted by His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I look forward to the SOEs becoming aware and so that participants in that space will not behave like it's government asset, it's Abaye Juma principle, but they will manage with professionalism, ethically, and honesty, so that we'll be able to achieve maximum benefit from our ownership of these assets. Thank you.
President Akufo-Addo says his government has taken steps to enhance accountability and transparency in the management of state-owned enterprises and also make them profitable. For years, many public enterprises have grappled with breaking even, with some of the at the verge of collapse. In a bid to promote accountability and efficiency in state agencies, President Akufo-Addo has outlined a new policy document that provides a framework that will govern the activities of governing boards and state-owned enterprises. Addressing a gathering at the 2024 Annual Policy and Governance Forum, President Akufo-Addo explained that non-compliance with the new guidelines will be against the spirit of good corporate governance.
A new dawn for corporate governance in state-owned enterprises. That is the aim of the new Code of Corporate Governance for specified entities, which has been outlawed by President Akufo-Addo at the 2024 Policy and Governance Forum. According to the State's Interest and Governance Authority, SIGA, this will help improve efficiency in the public sector, a vision which has enjoyed the support of the Public Enterprises Minister.
Today marks a significant opportunity for us to engage in comprehensive discussions regarding our achievements, areas of improvement, and strategize for advancement. It is fitting, therefore, that we not only unveil pivotal documents, but also engage in meaningful deliberations aimed at exchanging and implementing effective measures in corporate governance across our respective entities.
For the first time in the history of this country, Mr. President, the structure we had, State Enterprises Commission, which would manage, and when an enterprise collapses, we pass it on to Diversity Implementation Committee to dispose of it, which became the trend. Your presidency has halted that, and you've put in place all the structures that are needed to ensure that they continue to stay and operate profitably to contribute to national development. These two documents, Mr. President, complete it all.
President Akufo-Addo, who also joined stakeholders at this forum, intimated that he was unwavering in seeing to the profitability of state-owned enterprises.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you of the ambitious goal I set for our public enterprises sector, and that is for it to contribute 30% of our GDP. I'm pleased to report that I see considerable strides towards this target. Though impressive, there's still a long way to go from here. It is heartwarming to observe that by 2021, specified entities have significantly increased their total revenue to 121.8 billion cedis, compared to some 34.8 billion cedis in 2016.
For many years, state-owned enterprises have grappled with the challenge of remaining profitable. However, the 2024 Policy and Governance Forum is bringing together stakeholders to maximize the benefits of state ownership through effective corporate governance.
I'm happy to announce that 5 years after its establishment, today we are here to celebrate the success story of how these bodies are complying, how SOEs are complying, and it is having expression in the books of the companies that the state owns. I'm talking about the institution I manage. We made profit.
The Ghana Free Zones Authority is actually one of the most compliant organizations and will comply even further. So if something is supposed to be done in April, we would then endeavor to even do it in March.
Blessed Sugan reporting for Joy News. Kempinski, Accra.
Education Minister Dr. Yosei Duchum has admitted there is serious infrastructure challenge that has plagued the implementation of the free senior high school program. This has led to overcrowding in many schools, leading to the implementation of a double-track system. While some schools have now ended the shift system, other schools continue to implement it. Speaking at an event to tell the free SHS story, the minister said government will not relent in fixing all the problems facing the program, assuring the public the double-track system will be ended in due course.
The Free Senior High School is nearing a decade of implementation, and according to the Education Minister, Dr. Yosei Duchum, while infrastructure remains a challenge, government is committed to fixing that and eroding double track in all schools. Dr. Duchum says while critics focus on the negatives, he and his team at the Education Ministry are working to make the Free Senior High School an all-round success.
I hear all the time people talking about the Free Senior High School, and they don't tell the story of the children who were here. You have to look at something negative and focus on that. They are not focusing on the story of the children. This is a program that has touched many lives.
In his presentation, Dr. Duchum highlighted that government has not abandoned basic schools as the NDC claims.
But I know there are some who are watching from home and around the world, and they are saying, what about basic schools? Have you abandoned them? So they will say, yeah, we'll give you credit. You've done well with senior high school. But if you abandon basic schools, children are sitting on the trees, and you're talking about drones. To them, I have a response. I look forward to a day when parents will line up in front of our public schools and beg to enroll their children. That is the day. And it will soon come. And it has begun under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let me move. This is your junior high school.
Meanwhile, some beneficiaries of the Free Senior High School STEM education shared with Joy News the experience of undertaking a holistic science and technology education.
It was such a thrilling experience. We got to see different kinds of people from different countries. We got to see Nigerians, Chinese, Philippines, and other stuff. And we actually cooperated with them very well. And people of Japan also are welcoming and very nice people. And they also let us in on some of their inventions. They made us see how to cure kidney stones and everything. And also, we interacted with some of their high school kids who are at the same level with us. And then our interactions with them were actually quite impressive. And for our school, we will be inventing an airplane very soon, because we've seen that it's quite an easy mechanism for some aspects of it. So very soon we'll be implementing an airplane and many more. And for sanitation too, we are also developing, with the help of our team, we are also developing various ideas. So very soon you'll hear from us.
The Education Ministry believes in the new policies it continues to put in place in the implementation of the Free Senior High School program, which they say will fix its challenges and deliver on quality education outcomes.
Well, I've been joined by Dr. Peter Pate Ante. He is an education economist and executive director of IFES. I'm grateful for your time, Doc. How do you react to the minister's fight back at reports that the free SHS has serious challenges, adding that we must only focus on the positives and not the negatives? Kindly unmute for me, Doc.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, good morning to your viewers. I think I will not fault the minister if he says that we should focus on the positives. Of course, no policymaker would want you to talk about the challenges of his or her policies. And it would be naive on our part to think that he will stand on the podium and then start narrating the challenges that most of us who are on the field and do a lot of research, and you, the journalists, you go to the field and then realize some of those challenges. I think it would be naive on her part to
Right. We'll get Peter Pate Ante back for that conversation. Doc, if you are back, you were making a point about why the minister will never accept that there are negatives.
So, sorry, I had a little interaction.
Right.
So, what I was saying was that it's work. He would definitely want to put light on the positives that he thinks he's achieving. But that is a little bit unfortunate because when you implement these policies, there are challenges that will come with it. And your admission of those challenges enable you to really look at the policy and then fine-tune it to lead to its realization of the objectives of the policy. So if you so much fixated about people reporting on only on the positives, then what you are trying to do is that you will not be able to get the negatives and the challenges that are confronting the policy. And that would not help in the fine-tuning of that particular policy. So I don't understand why anytime the minister or the government gets an opportunity to talk about the free SHS policy, they want to make it look as if there are two groups of people in the country in terms of working on the policy. Those who are for the policy and those who are against the policy. And the very moment you continue to speak like that, then you are politicizing the policy that is very important and that a lot of people have benefited from. I don't think that anybody have said that the free senior high school is a very bad policy. No, I'm here to hear that. Anytime people talk about the policy, they indicate that it's giving opportunity to people to access secondary education. However, there have been challenges, and the challenges of the policy would prevent the realization of the objectives of the policy. Let me give you a typical example. The minister and the president were in Wesley Girls, and the students told the minister and the president that in Wesley Girls, students do not have seats to sit on. They come to classes with plastic chairs. They told them that there is serious congestion in the dormitories. Now, this is Wesley Girls that we are talking about. So imagine a school in any of the rural settings, a secondary school in any of the rural settings, the kind of challenges that they will be going through. So if the minister thinks that the reports from students, from teachers, from parents that do not toe the line of the minister are not supposed to be said, then who is going to do that for the poor child in the school who is having those challenges? I think that is unfortunate, and he should allow everybody to report what they think about the policy so far as they are not reporting false or fake news.
As a refresher, let's understand the serious challenges facing the free SHS, with the most consistent being the quality of food. What has your findings around it revealed?
Yes, I think that we've had serious challenges with feeding. You did a documentary on that, and we have made several calls to the ministry to look at the way they are handling the food distribution in the country. Of course, when you did your documentary, the usual response came from the ministry that these were exaggerated events that have been presented by the platform. And that attitude is why we are not able to solve most of the problems that are facing the Free Senior High School. There are serious challenges with feeding. Again, one of the things that we are not even talking much about is the infrastructure challenges, because when we started this, we knew that the immediate term it was going to be very difficult for us to expand infrastructure, and that is why we embraced the double track. But while the double track was running, we were told that it will run between 5 to 7 years. Now, if you look at the implementation of the Free Senior High School, it's almost getting to 8 years now, and we are still in that challenge. In fact, students that went to school in just this month, I think they came. We are in April, so they came in late March. Those students are going back home in May. I think first week or second week in May, around 8th May. These are second-year students that are supposed to have a lot of time on campus, but very soon they spend about two months, and they are going back. They went on holidays, I think around in December, stayed in the house, reported in March, and they are going back in May. They are going back to the house in May. These are the challenges that we are talking about. That if you're able to fix this thing, we will be able to keep students in school, go through the academic program, and then we are sure of the quality of education that they are receiving. But we cannot just say that because one or two schools or students are enjoying some kind of free resources and certain training, all students in the country are benefiting from same. It is highly impossible to make such an assertion. And that is why the minister needs to understand that there are serious challenges with the policy, and his focus should be to address these challenges so that at least by the end of the government's term, at least the 8 years, we would be certain that Free Senior High School was implemented. There were challenges. We've been able to minimize the challenges, and everybody is benefiting from the policy. I think that should be the attitude of the minister, and not to always think that people have set out to just to paint the policy black or report negative issues about the policy.
Do you foresee yourself that we will ever have some of these critical issues resolved, especially with the defensive posture of the ministry?
I think one of the best ways we solve problems is to admit it. I think any psychologist will tell you that if you want to deal with a problem, the first step is to admit that there's a problem. And that is one of the challenges that we have had with the posture of the government in respect of this policy. There has not been enough admission of the challenges of the policy. Now, when there is not enough, when the admission is not there, it becomes difficult for you to even tackle the challenges, because you think that people are just doing this for the sake of destroying the policy. So one, there should be, if they admit that there are challenges, then we can move the step further to look at how we are going to address it. We have talked about decentralizing the feeding operations. I think Charles have said this several times about that. We've talked about improving infrastructure, and that there should be a dedicated fund to ensure that within the shortest possible time, we improve infrastructure, not only in the category A schools, but also in some of the schools that are in some districts, like President Kufuor. So we target some of the schools, and then we uplift the infrastructure to a level that the congestion in the category A schools would reduce, because the very moment that you're able to provide a lot of infrastructure for some schools, parents would automatically want to take their words to some of these schools that are also doing well. So these are the things that we need to focus on. The minister should focus on solving the challenges of the food, and then also make sure that the operationalization, the infrastructure challenges are also addressed. There are issues with decks and all those things. I think he should make his attention, turn his attention to those things more than the fixation on people talking about the negative aspects of the policy.
Let me have you hold, because the minister says more. Listen.
Hello?
I know there are some who are watching from home and around the world, and they are saying, what about basic schools? Have you abandoned them? So they will say, yeah, we'll give you credit. You've done well with senior high school. But if you abandon basic schools, children are sitting on the trees, and you're talking about drones. To them, I have a response. I look forward to a day when parents will line up in front of our public schools and beg to enroll their children. That is the day. And it will soon come. And it has begun under Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Let me move. This is your junior high school. You see, you don't see brown and yellow. We are rebranding public schools. No brown and yellow, blue and white. Let's move. And we are changing the uniforms too. This is Akufo-Addo and President Akufo-Addo and Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia's Ghana. We have begun the transformation. We began the transformation. There's no reason why we shouldn't. Ghanaians deserve better, and we're going to give them better. Something that we can all be proud of.
Dr. Anti, if you are still there, you've had cause to complain that the ministry has abandoned basic schools because of free SHS. Have things improved? Because the minister says he's doing some things right there.
Thank you very much. You see, basic education, when we say this, there's been less focus on basic education, we are not saying it out of a vacuum. If you look at the data from the Ministry of Education, it clearly indicates that there are serious challenges with our basic education. From teacher to student ratio, that is the number of teachers available, to the provision of desks, to the nature of infrastructure, specifically looking at the buildings that the students are supposed to have that kind of education, to the provision of textbooks, and a whole lot, especially this time that we are doing ICT. Most of the schools do not have ICT labs. They do not have libraries. Now, why do I mention these things? These things are supposed to serve as the inputs for quality education. That is why sometimes when people talk about we are providing quality education, we ask them, what do you think you are doing that is providing quality education? Because there are input variables. If you have students in a school that are being handled by only 2 teachers, then you cannot turn around and tell me that you are providing quality education. Again, in this country, last year or last 2 years, the statistical service indicated that 26% of rural communities do not have access to any form of basic education. So it means that they don't have kindergarten, they don't have primary, they don't have junior high school. 26% of rural communities. And then he said that 6% of urban cluster communities do not have all forms of education, basic education. So some will have basic, will have primary, but will not have junior high school. Some will have kindergarten, but will not have primary and junior high school. Now, anybody who wants to improve education will first look at why is it that we don't have these facilities in these communities and start providing for these communities. You do not go and build another school where there are schools there and then collapse the already primary schools there, you decommission them, and then you move the students to the new building because you think that you want to rebrand basic education, and then project that is a way of ensuring that public basic schools are given the needed kind of attention. I think that is a little bit misplaced and should not be how we handle the challenges in the basic schools. So we are just, according to the minister, we are just building some schools in certain communities. And the communities where we are building the schools already have basic schools. But then in some instances, the basic schools do not have, the buildings are not in good shape, and then they do not have labs, they don't have the ICT things and so on and so forth. So the solution to that problem, according to the minister, is to build another school, decommission all the basic schools in that area, and then move the students to the new building. Whereas you can use the money to build the ICT lab, the library that you want, the science labs, and then link the basic schools in that area to those particular ICT hub that you have created in that district or in that cluster. This is a more efficient way of addressing the problem, and then use the rest of the money to provide basic education for communities that have been earmarked that they do not have any form of basic school. So I think that it is more about the optics. They want us to understand that they are doing something. And in this country, when you start an infrastructure project, that is where people will think that you have really done something within the sector that you are. Other than that, you wouldn't want to go on this tangent and then change the uniform and then take pictures and show it and say that that is a way that you are transforming basic schools.
Do we actually need new uniforms at this time?
It is interesting because, we had challenges with new uniform when we introduced the junior high school and the senior high school issues. When President Kufuor changed the name from junior secondary school to junior high school, there were talks about uniforms and people were not so much enthused with that. I really do not understand the focus and the direction that we are going at the basic level. And I have to be frank because the data does not suggest that there has been an improvement at the basic level. The data suggests that the basic level have been neglected for so long, and there is the need for the ministry to really be proactive in addressing the challenges at the basic level. Building new schools and decommissioning already existing schools and moving students to that new building will not solve the problem that we are having at a basic level.
I'm grateful for your time. Dr. Peter Pate Anti is an education economist. He is the executive director of IFES. Let's take a break. When we return, there's business.
Hi, welcome to Business. My name is Darryl Kwao. Local manufacturers have been urged to pay critical attention to branding, labeling, and packaging of their products in order to thrive in the export market. According to the CEO of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Dr. Sabia-Sare, it has become imperative to sustain and grow the manufacturing sector through the production of quality and excellent products. Speaking at the ProPack Packaging Innovation Summit, Dr. Sabia-Sare said the authority is committed to supporting local businesses export to the international market.
As Ghana strives to become the leading supplier to West Africa for consumer packaging, pioneering the way to supplying quality, sustainable packaging to the region's manufacturers, ProPack Ghana has launched the 2024 ProPack Innovation Summit to provide a platform for suppliers and service providers in the manufacturing sector to display the latest technologies and service offerings to both local and international markets. Speaking at the opening of the 3-day summit, Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Dr. Sabia-Sare, underscored the importance for manufacturers to focus on branding, labeling, and packaging of their products in order to remain relevant in the export market.
Indeed, strong branding is the cornerstone upon which businesses build their identity and reputation. A strong brand not only differentiates a product in the market, but also holds trust and loyalty among consumers. As we gather here, we are presented with an ideal opportunity as innovators and business owners to learn about the best practices that can set our products apart in an often crowded and noisy marketplace.
Managing Director, Montgomery Group, Alexander Agnus, stated that the 3-day summit will provide local manufacturers the opportunity to come up with cutting-edge products that will help them compete favorably on the international market.
Ultimately, we want our exhibitors, both the local and international exhibitors, to connect with new and existing customers, predominantly Ghanaian visitors who are looking to source new products and services for their products. But we want to make connections. We want to make connections that matter, connections that can help exhibitors achieve their commercial goals and visitors to achieve their business solutions.
On his part, Chief Executive Officer of the Association of Ghana Industries, Seth Chuma-Kwabwa, said, although there's been significant improvement in packaging, there's still more that needs to be done to tighten the loose end of the manufacturing value chain.
Packaging is very critical when it comes to the competitiveness of your product. We are not only looking at the Ghanaian market, we are also looking at the export market. And if you are exporting your product and your product doesn't have the right packaging in terms of quality, in terms of the aesthetics of it, the beauty and everything, you are not likely to be competitive in those markets. Even in the Ghanaian market, years ago, people were complaining about the quality of made in Ghana products. And we said, no, we think the quality is good. And with time, it proved that indeed the content, the quality is good. But then there were complaints about the packaging. And if you look at it, if you monitor the environment, you will see that there's also been significant improvement in the packaging of made in Ghana products. But we still have a long way to go.
Montgomery Group's ProPack portfolio in Africa has grown into the leading packaging, processing, plastics, and printing group of events serving the African continent. For Joy Business, Pius Kojobaka.
As part of its corporate social responsibility, the insurance industry, led by the National Insurance Commission, has donated over 2,200 units of blood to the National Blood Service of Ghana. The gesture is part of the industry's annual CSR campaign, which focuses on mobilizing blood units to support hospitals. The climax of the campaign witnessed a donation of 40 cesarean section packs to the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. Yes, more.
The climax of the 2023 blood donation campaign by the insurance industry, spearheaded by the National Insurance Commission, witnessed a donation of 40 cesarean section packs to the maternity ward of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. The donation was led by the Acting Commissioner of Insurance, Mr. Michael Kofi Andor, together with representation from various insurance associations. The industry successfully mobilized 2,203 pints of blood, representing over 200 pints more than what was achieved in 2022. Michael Kofi Andor is the Acting Commissioner of Insurance.
As the slogan goes, if you do it for someone, you are doing it for yourself. You never know when it will be your turn. You never know when it will be your loved one. And so as a nation, it is our responsibility to ensure that our blood banks are well stocked. Blood is one thing that we cannot import. We cannot buy from anywhere. We have to donate them. That is the only source we get them. And so we will put in all the effort and the resources that are needed to increase. It's really beyond my expectation. Every insurance company, every broking company, everybody who could donate actually went ahead and donated. So the response has been overwhelming.
The outgoing director of the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, Dr. Emmanuel Shrofenyo, was full of praise for the gesture, but was quick to appeal for more.
From the statistics that has been given, we can say that it went very well. We got in a total of 2,203 pints of blood. Well, this is a significant amount of blood. But the national need for blood annually, I have just checked, and that is about 300,000 pints of blood. That is the amount of blood that the country needs every year. And so as we see, this is a very great achievement. There is still more room for improvement, not only for the National Insurance Commission, but for all individuals in Ghana. We need to come together and work hard to make sure that we're raking this amount of blood that the nation needs to save lives.
The campaign is spearheaded by the National Insurance Commission with support from the Insurance Brokers Association, IBAG, Chartered Insurance Institute of Ghana, CIIG, Ghana Insurance Association, GIA, Women in Insurance Network of Ghana, and the ECOWAS Brown Card Insurance Scheme.
All right, and that's it for this segment. The news continues.
And that's how we wrap up the bulletin this morning. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Log on to myjoyonline.com for more of the news and updates of all the developing stories. See you again at 12.